It's Parm King. I'm super excited to bring to you another guide of Curse of Strahd. This one is the Wizard's Tower, or also known as Van Richten's Tower. I'm really excited to bring this one to you. There's some special treats and special content in here, so I'm really excited about this one. But before we get started, a special shout out and thank you to all my Patreon supporters. It's your support that allows me to put these detailed video guides together, the PDF guides, and the Foundry Adventure modules. That's right, each one of these videos is a Foundry Adventure module that you can install into Foundry and enjoy the game Curse of Strahd, including a link back to D&D Beyond for those of you that own D&D Beyond content for Curse of Strahd. Now, if you're interested in becoming a Patreon member, there's a link down below, patreon.com/ParmKing. Now, for some special acknowledgments, our battle maps are created by DM Andy. These are gorgeous battle maps for Curse of Strahd, fan-made battle maps. If you do like them, he makes them in grid, non-grid, night, day. You can check out his battle maps at the link down below, DM Andy's Patreon page. Also, a special thank you to Blair, who makes the Scene Packer module. None of these Foundry Adventure modules would exist without Blair and the Scene Packer module. If you're interested in making your own adventure modules, check out Scene Packer module. There's a link to Blair's Patreon page down below. Now, the special treat. You do know that I love James RPG art. James makes matted paintings, both high resolution and animated for Curse of Strahd. Well, James has been gracious enough to allow us to include low-res static images of his beautiful matte paintings here for Foundry. And what is interesting is when DM Andy makes one of his battle maps, he does look at James's artwork and incorporates those ideas into the battle map. So there's this beautiful synergy between DM Andy's battle maps and James RPG Art's beautiful map paintings. We're going to show them here, but this is the first time James is graciously allowed to include those in our Foundry Adventure packs, and I'll be showing those here, and I'll be going ahead and updating the previous Curse of Strahd modules with that artwork. And one last acknowledgement, and if you're a Curse of Strahd fan, you know the big three fan content makers, Dragon Carta, Mandy Mod, and Lunch Break Heroes. Well, we're going to be using some ideas from Lunch Break Heroes, Van Richten's Lonely Tower Guide. I've put a link down to his video below. I'm a Patreon member of Lunch Break Hero. He's done a fabulous job creating content for Curse of Strahd. You should go check him out. We'll be including some of his ideas, of course, without my own twist on it. So let's jump in and begin. We have this beautiful, this is the Battle Theater of the Mind map. This is the gorgeous static image by James RPG Art. Now, if I was playing on a tabletop with people, in person, I would have a TV or a monitor with one of his animated paintings on here. Just pulls everybody and merges you in the scene. But in Foundry, what I do is I create these into Theater of the Mind maps. I'll show you, it's pretty easy. I just put a wall all the way around it and a glass wall through the middle, and I can drag and drop my tokens here. And it's really a great way to start a scene. We can jump right into role-playing and narrating. It's a common frame of reference. Everybody sees what the Wizard Tower looks like, so I don't have to get into specificity of the details of it. They can see it, and I can get right into the narration and the role-playing right away. And the characters can have their tokens on the screen and access their characters here. So let's talk about the Wizard's Tower. Now, first of all, the way that I see the Wizard's Tower, this is a pivotal location for information and clues tying in major story arcs and major story threads. Your players have been to the village of Barovia. They've probably met with Irene. They're probably traveling with her. They've been to the camp with Madame Ava. They've probably survived the Bone Grinder. They've done Vallaki. But there's a bunch of stuff that they're still trying to put and assess, put things together, try to figure what's really going on here. And this Wizard Tower location is pivotal for that. And I've included a lot of information here that makes this a fun game session. I would guess you could do this certainly in one full game session. I've set it up, there's no combat encounters, except for there's an alternative version that I've made with a combat encounter, which I'll do at the end of the video. So I'm really excited about this. So let's talk about the approach. Now, when we get to the Wizard's Tower, we want to know some background and some history first about this Wizard's Tower. You need to know this as the DM. Your players are going to learn this. This is going to be revealed to them. So the Wizard Tower was created by a wizard named Khazan, and he was the court wizard for Strahd hundreds of years ago, and he built this as his tower where he lived. It's built on an island. There's a causeway that goes out to this island in Lake Baratok. Now, here's the big reveal. Here's the big, huge surprise the players will not know until way later in the campaign. The Lich in the Amber Temple, Exantar, is Khazan. So Khazan has become this Lich, Exantar. Now, when you run into the Lich at Amber Temple, he doesn't remember anything. He's lost his memory. And you're going to learn how he lost his memory, what happened, and how Khazan became Exantar. While you're going to get some of these clues here while you're at the Wizard's Tower. So it's really going to be cool. The players aren't going to realize it yet, but when that reveal happens, it's going to be kind of a cool shocker. There's also a book here called The Myth of Khazan. Players can find and read the entire history of Khazan, what happened in there. So we'll cover that as well. Now, as you approach the Wizard's Tower, you're going to see two things. You've got the Wizard's Tower there. Let's talk a little bit about what they're seeing. So they got the Wizard's Tower out on this peninsula, on this island, on this lake. You've got this covered wagon here. There's some scaffolding going up to the 3rd floor with a hole in the wall, and there's this door. Now, the Wizard's Tower and the wagon are both booby trapped. And these are both serious booby traps. You could lose a player. You could actually get a total TPK from these two traps. So this is highly deadly. So getting through these traps, the reward is the information and some really cool items that I've stocked up here in this Wizard's Tower and in the wagon. So let's talk about the wagon first. The wagon belongs to Ezmerelda. The players probably don't know who Ezmerelda is at this point. Now, if the players approach the back of the wagon, they're going to see it's padlocked. There's a sign that says keep out. If they do a perception check, the players are going to realize the back door to the wagon is booby trapped. But they'll find a trap door underneath the wagon. If they get through the trap door underneath the wagon, they're going to find all this amazing contents in the wagon. Battle axe, flail, morning star, fine clothes, spyglass, some spell scrolls, other kind of stuff in there. Clearly, this wagon is stocked up to go to battle, and to battle with some, flasks of holy water, probably some undead. So it looks pretty interesting here. This is the owner of this wagon is clearly some kind of monster hunter, probably a vampire hunter of some sort. But there's no clue as to who owns this wagon. There's no name on it, nothing like that. Now, if the players do click off the booby trap on the back, it's 10d10 explosive fire damage. There is a constitution save to reduce that damage by 50%, but anybody within 30 feet of the blast radius is going to take some damage, and it's pretty significant damage. This could be, you could wipe out some players with this kind of damage here. So it's pretty bad, and all the contents, obviously, of the wagon will be destroyed. So let's talk about the door here. There's a door down here, and there's a door puzzle right here. And let's talk about the door puzzle. I'll bring up the image right here. You can see the image of the door. Now, when you get up to the door, it's a steel door, and it's magically locked. Now, there's two other ways to get in the Wizard's Tower I'll talk about in just a second. But let's address the puzzle here first. So you see these 8 stick figures in their hands in different directions, up and down, and left and right. And there's a line that starts with a stick figure with both hands up, and it ends with one that's with both hands down. Now, a player, if standing in front of the door, mimicking these images in the correct order, will unlock the door. Now, the two things here that you should be aware of is when both hands up finish in the up position, that means the door is unlocked. With both hands in the down position, when you finish, means you're locking the door. So if you start with the hands down position, meaning the door is locked, you go down, you do your hands across, up and down, you go over here, both hands up, both hands down, both hands to your side, one hand up, one hand down, and then both hands ending up, the door will magically unlock. If you start from this position and go back through the opposite way, the door will lock, go from unlocked to locked. So that's how you lock and unlock the door. However, it's a booby trap. So if you start wrong and you do any wrong motion as you do this, and you have to stand 5 feet within the door to do this in front of the door, lightning will strike within all characters within 10 feet of the tower, and they're going to take 2d10 worth of damage. Now, if they screw up a second time, you're going to take 40d10 worth of damage. And a third time, well, that be 6d10 worth of damage. Now, of course, there's a dex save in there to reduce that damage by 50%. But you're really only given, I mean, those 3 times, it's going to be some serious damage to the player. And one player is going to have to take that damage because you have to be 5 feet within the door. So if the other players go stand 40 feet away, somebody's got to do the symbols in front of the door to open up the door. Now, the 4th time, if you fail the 4th time, the entire building comes crumbling down, collapses. Everybody within a 30 feet radius of the building takes 8d10 worth of bludgeoning damage. There is a dexterity save, DC 15, to take only 50% of damage. But it's very possible this door puzzle could wipe out a player or even a total party wipe. So really be careful with it. So what are the other 2 ways to get into the tower? Well, if you have the knock spell, you can use the knock spell on the door and get into the tower fairly easily. The other way to get in the tower is right here, climbing up the scaffolding, getting into the 3rd floor. Now, if they get down to the 1st floor, I would make the door, the ability to open up the door from the inside without using magic. I would just make it easy like that. You can open up the door on the inside. Otherwise, otherwise you got to solve the puzzle to get in through the door. So that's it from approaching. You've got the wagon and entering into this tower here. Let's go ahead and jump into the 1st floor, and we've got DM Andy's gorgeous battle map here. Now I turned the grid on here because I want to mention, first of all, something that I did with this map, and I recommend if you're going to use these maps, is I increased the size. And the reason for that is inside the wizard tower is pretty tight if you look rules are written. And if you're running 4 players in your campaign, or 5 or 6 or more, I'm running 6 in my campaign. It just gets too tight to even operate in this wizard's tower. There's a platform that goes up and down, and rules is written, you can only get 1 player to go up and down at a time. So I made the platform a 10-foot platform instead of a 5-foot, and that means I get 4 players to go up and down. So I just put the grid on here to show you what I did. I just increased the grid size here so you can see the platform in the center has a 4 individuals can get in onto that platform. So let's talk a little bit about here. They've come in through the door right here. You can see there's the wagon outside. By the way, the wagon's an asset. You can move it around. It's a vehicle. So if they've gotten into the door here, they're on the 1st floor. They're going to notice right away that there's this platform with some chains connected to it, and there's 4 giant clay golems. Now these golems are standing there holding on to this chain. They're going to totally ignore the player. They're not going to attack the player. The players are going to see these golems holding a chain. The chains go up, and the chains are connected to this platform. Clearly the golems are there with a single focus of raising and lowering this platform. Now, the golems understand any general command to raise and lower the platform. You can say, raise a platform, go up a floor, go to the 1st floor, go down a floor, go up. Anything that is a general command related to going up or down with the platform, they will understand. So they don't need to be, the players don't need to be specific. They can say, raise a platform up a floor, go up a floor, go to the 1st floor, and the platform will move. So it really allows the players, you're not getting bogged down into semantics, which is important. Now, the golems will not attack, but if they are attacked by the players, they will not move from their positions. They will defend themselves, and they will refocus on the chain. So they will only defend themselves. They will not move from this location or chase or hunt down any of the players. Now, if the players start exploring the room, and you can see there's some boxes here, there's some crates and everything, they're going to start finding stuff like rope, chain, wooden stakes, garlic, flasks of holy water, heavy crossbows. They're going to realize that this too is a storage location for some kind of monster hunter. They might presume that the wagon is being loaded or unloaded with stores here in the bottom of the wizard's tower. So both locations are going to have some interesting items and gear for monster hunting. So let's go up to the 2nd floor, and this is one in which we use the idea from Lunch Breaks here, and we've really expanded upon it quite a bit and entered into our own little lore here. So the 2nd floor of the wizard's tower is a library. And there's a bust here, and this is, again, Lunch Break Heroes, which I've expanded upon. We've got him right here. Here's Busty. I actually have an image of him here. I'll just show you really quick. By the way, that image, if you're just curious, that is a bust, a sketch of a bust of Voltaire. I thought, who better to be Busty than Voltaire? Because I love Voltaire's sardonic prose and sarcasm. I thought, great, we'll use him as the bust. So Busty the Bust is here. Now, who is Busty, right? Bust is magical. It contains the minds and the thoughts of the wizard Khazan. Now, the wizard Khazan cast a spell on the bust and made it sentient. He transferred his knowledge and memories into the bust, gave the bust its own personality and intelligence, because Khazan feared if anything happened to him, he was going to use this bust as like a safekeeping for his mind and his thoughts. So if anything happened to him, he could always come back to the bust and get his minds and all his thoughts back. The problem is the bust has been here for centuries. It's gone senile and slightly insane. It's forgotten so many things, and the knowledge that it's really obtained are the books sitting at its feet, which it can look down and it can read these books sitting at its feet. It's become torture, actually, for this bust to sit here who can't physically move to see all these books on the shelves, wondering what's in each one of these books. In fact, he's imagined made up stories in his head just reading the titles of the books. He just wants to be able to read these books. He loves company. So if anybody comes, he will engage with them, encourage them, oh, can you open up some books and lay them down so that I can read them? Now, Busty wants to be helpful, and he likes company. And so we created a Busty roll table with stuff that he will share with the players. So let's open this up. We're going to reset this, and I'll clear this up. And there's only 6 of them in there, so I'll go through each one of those really quickly for you. So if we roll, what do we got? First one. He doesn't remember how long he's been here, but it has been many, many years. The tower was empty when the wizard left such a long time ago. Not so long ago, an old man came to live here. He was interested in vampires and the Dark Lord. He had a monkey who always made a mess of everything. He left a while ago, and I feared something may have happened to him, but I forget his name. Now, the monkey ties this knowledge into Rictavio. Rictavio had the monkey who he gave to Blinsky. So somebody lived here that had a monkey recently and left and disappeared. The next thing he says is, a great wizard built this tower. He served the Dark Lord. The wizard left in search of power and has never returned. It was so long ago, I don't remember. Next thing he says is, a woman was here recently. She was searching for the man that had lived here, the old man that had lived here. She was beautiful and very nice. She would often read to me books from the library and tell me stories. I fear something may have happened to her because she promised to return. He's speaking of Ezmerelda. The next one we have here is, there's a book in the library about this wizard. I forget the name and don't know where it is, but if you find it, it may give you some answers. So now he's giving you a clue that you don't know who this wizard's name. At this point, the players don't know the name Khazan, right? That name's nowhere to be found. It's not written outside the tower. They don't know anything about it, but they just know this is a wizard's tower because Busty's just told him about the wizard's tower, and he says there's a book somewhere here. So there's a book here. We'll show you that in just a second. Next is, the wizard could command a magical armor in the tower. The command word to control the armor was the wizard's name, but I forgot the name. So now you know there's some magical armor that can be controlled if you know the wizard's name that's in the tower. And last but not least is, there's a hole on the 3rd floor created by a lightning strike. The wizard was conducting some powerful magic. I'm not sure what happened, but I saw a flash of light, heard a loud boom, and the entire tower shook. So now you know what caused the hole on the 3rd floor. So let's talk a little bit about Busty here in this book. So he doesn't remember his name. That's why he calls himself Busty. But if the players want to give him a name, he'd be really appreciative. The book, if the players roll an investigation check of DC 12, they will find the book. It's called The Myth of Khazan. And this book is really important because this tells you that Khazan was a court wizard for Lord Strahd during the Great War. Khazan lived on this small island here in Baratok Island. You're in his wizard tower. He learned that Strahd was only interested with the wizard to learn about magic and the Amber Temple. And Khazan shared with Strahd the information about the Amber Temple and his power. Strahd went and got, to the Amber Temple, obviously became a vampire and gained the secrets to slay Argynvost the dragon and gain dark powers. Khazan had secretly become a lich in the Amber Temple. He fled to his tower on the island, casting magical spells and traps on the tower. He secretly planned to try to escape Barovia, and you're going to learn something on the 3rd floor about that. He fled dressed as a monk, but he was captured. He was returned to Ravenloft to answer for his treachery. Refusing to answer, Khazan's one last attempt to free himself and to cast a spell, becoming a demi-lich, hoping to move beyond the veil. Khazan didn't realize that Strahd had become powerful, and Strahd had cursed Khazan at this point. Now we know that the skeletal remains lie in the crypt. Khazan's skeletal remains lie in the crypt of Castle Ravenloft. It's said that his skull contains some valuable gems and dark magic. Some believe that his consciousness escaped Barovia is unknown. Some believe his spirit wanders Barovia, probably somewhere in Ravenloft, or his ghost wanders here in the tower. Some believe that his spirit and soul haunts the Amber Temple. Now, all 3 of those are true. You're going to find out Khazan's skull is in Ravenloft, and there's something interesting there that Khazan's spirit has left. Khazan is kind of here in the tower, the Wizard's Tower. It's Busty the Bust. And last but not least, again, the big reveal is Khazan is Examter, the Lich, who's forgotten who he is in the Amber Temple. That was the curse. Strahd cursed him and put him in the Amber Temple. In fact, tries to encase him in amber, but is unable to. And so the Lich, forgetting all his memory, is now just living in the Amber Temple, gathering information and becoming, a more powerful Lich, but doesn't know that he's Khazan. And so that's going to be really, really cool. It's going to be a huge reveal for the players once they learn that. Now, if the players take Busty, he only weighs 5 pounds. We're going to go over that in a second. If they take Busty with them and they get closer to the Amber Temple, Busty, as he gets closer to the Lich and towards the Amber Temple, he's going to remember the Wizard Khazan. He's going to remember who created him. He's going to remember that Khazan went to the Amber Temple. That's about all he's going to remember. Now, if Busty is presented to the Lich, Xanathar, then the memories and the thoughts and the mind of Khazan that's in the bust will transfer into the Lich, and the Lich will remember who he is and become Khazan again. So it's a really powerful moment that can play out, if you take Busty with you. Now let's talk a little bit about Busty himself. Now what I did with Busty, this is my little interpretation, I actually made him an NPC in the game. Now, he has no strength, he has no dexterity, he has a 10 constitution, 18 intelligence, 18 wisdom, and 16 charisma. He can't move, he has no dexterity, and has no strength. He has 42 hit points. He does have some interesting features. He's immutable form, it means he can't be changed to anything. He is a bust, and he has magical resistance, being this kind of magical bust. Now, Khazan gave him a few spells. He gave him the message spell, so that Busty could message Khazan when he needed something. He also gave him calm emotions. Things were pretty intense back then with Lord Strahd, what was going on with Khazan, so he has this spell. Khazan gave him the tongues spell so that Busty could speak in any language, thought it was important for Busty to be able to do it. And one of the most important spells that Khazan felt that Busty should have was Speak with Dead. Remember that Khazan created Busty with the purpose of storing his thoughts and memories in Busty in case Khazan fell. And if Khazan did, Busty's ability to speak with the dead, to perhaps a dead Khazan could tell him what he needs to do to restore him. So it was vital that he thought that Busty had Speak with Dead. And last but not least, Arcane Eye. And this was kind of a gift that Khazan gave to Busty, realizing Busty was an intelligent, sentient being. Giving him an Arcane Eye, knowing that Busty couldn't move, it allowed him to look around like he could peer and read the books. He should probably have given a Mage Hand instead, but he didn't. So This is one of those things that's, you know, if Busty ever gets to talk to Khazan again, he's going to say, why didn't you give me Unseen Servant or Mage Hand? That would have been a lot more useful than just giving me an eye to look around. So he's probably going to be pretty sarcastic with Khazan at that point. So the players can take him. He only weighs 5 pounds, and that's it here on this floor. So it's pretty interesting stuff here. Let's go up to the 3rd floor. Now the 3rd floor is really cool. Again, this is expansion on Lunch Break Heroes idea. You can see the wall has been busted out here. That was from that lightning strike. You're going to notice that there's some tarnished stargazing and astronomy equipment in this room. And the ceiling is faded magical aura of the night sky. You can actually show the night sky right here. Here we go. There's the night sky here. Now, there's if the players do a Arcana check on the night sky, DC 15, they're going to realize that the night sky, it's a spell used to record stars that you can see outside the night sky. And you can actually move time forward, night sky forward to autumn or spring or to winter to see how the stars change. Now, what you're going to learn through the Arcana check is the wizard was studying the night's stars, the sky and the stars, to learn more about Barovia and this mist, this curse that Strahd put on it. And what you learn by studying the stars confirms everything. That Barovia is locked in time. Like if you're familiar with the story Brigadoon or Shangri-La, the people can't escape, and time is stopped for the people in Barovia. But the people in the real world or outside of Barovia, it hasn't. It's almost like in its own Demite plane. It's what's going on. And Khazan was able to learn this by studying the stars. And if the player rolls a Arcana DC 15, they will come to that same realization. It kind of confirms you can't leave until that mist is lifted. There are 2 magical items that you can find here. First, an investigation check of a DC 12. There's a hidden drawer in the back of the desk that reveals a compartment containing an old-looking telescope on it. And engraved in the telescope is a name, Exantar. Now, this is the only time and the first time up to this point the players are going to hear that. And they're not going to know if it's a name of a person, a name of a place, or if it's just the name of the telescope. Now, this isn't any ordinary telescope. I actually made this a fun, unique item. It's a scrying telescope. Once every 24 hours, you can use this telescope to scry. Now, in order to make the telescope work, you have to aim it at a location in which you know a person is in that location. So, for instance, if I knew Lady Valker and I wanted to scry on her and I had met her before, I would have to aim the telescope at Valaki to the Walker house. Now, the DM would have to determine, is she there? Is she in her house? If she is in the house, then you can scry on her. The knowledge save modifier is +5. The connection save modifier is -2. And this allows you to do this once a day. Anybody can use this telescope, but they have to make sure to aim it at the location. The DM will have to determine if that person's there or not in order to do the scrying with the telescope. Again, it has the name Exantar engraved on it, on there. And if you do take it to the Amber Temple, it might help him remember a little bit about who he once was, seeing this telescope, remembering it back at the Wizard's Tower. The other item here is a Armillary Sphere. And you can see it right here that's on the table. And if you do an investigation check, intelligence check of a DC 18, you'll realize that it's a sphere for plotting the stars, and you'll know how to use it. But it's magical. The sphere itself, if you roll an Arcana check, it reveals that if you spin the sphere a certain way, it creates a lightning bolt that can be hurled or directed at an object or creature. However, in order to use it properly, you have to pass the intelligence check of DC 18 to understand how to use this sphere. Now, what it does is it casts as an action a single lightning bolt, 100 feet long and 10 feet wide. It'll blast in any single direction, and a creature takes 8d6 lightning damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. Now, in order to use this, you need to hold this in your hand and spin it. That means you can't have two, you need your hands free to use this as a weapon. You spin it, You aim it, you know how to use it because you've passed the intelligence check. You spin it, you aim it in a direction, and a lightning bolt will hurl out with 8d6 damage up to 100 feet. You can use it by placing it on the table and spinning it as well, but in either case, you're going to need one hand free, or you're going to need both hand frees if you're holding it. You need to place it on a stable surface if you're going to use it from a stable surface. Anybody can use it as long as they pass the intelligence check on knowing how to use it. The Arcana check is just to reveal that it is a lightning bolt spell in here. So this is a really cool object. It weighs 5 pounds. The players can take it with them. I've got the lightning bolt information in here as well. So they're going to find that in here. So this is, you got some information about Barovia, 2 cool magical items. Now let's go up to the 4th floor, and the 4th floor is really a lot of information. It's really tying a lot of information in the story together, giving some important clues and information. So I'm really excited here that we're kind of wrapping up some important story threads here. Now, the first thing you're going to see is this animated armor here. The animated armor is incapacitated. I mean, you can whack it and hit it. It's not going to do anything. Now, if you stand in front of it and you use its command word Khazan, which you've learned, then the animated armor will come to life and do anything that the person that's giving the command word will do anything, you know, that you command them to do for 24 hours, then becomes incapacitated again. Now, if the hit points fall to 0, the animated armor falls to pieces and it's destroyed. Or if the animated armor leaves the tower, it'll fall apart and it's destroyed. So the animated armor is animated through its magic here in the tower. It looked like it must have been a command servant for Khazan. So it just stands here unless you say the magic word. Now you'll see there's a desk in here. We have a bed, and let's take a look at this desk because there's some important things on the desk. The first thing you're going to see on the desk is there's a map right here. Now let's take a look at that map. It's a map of the Wizard's Tower right here on Lake Baratok, and there's an area circled in the mountains and it says werewolves on it. Now this is actually an item that the players can take with them. Right here, we can see here's the, you know, and the players can keep this in their inventory. And they can say, oh, there's a werewolves, and here's this sketch of this map here. There's also on the table right here that you'll notice is there are some notes on the tables, and the note reads here, Rudolph, I've returned to the tower, but it seems you have left some time ago. I have gathered information on Strahd and learned more about his consorts. I have left the information for you and hope you return. I'll be gone for a short time, but will return before the next moonrise. I hope you are safe. Faithfully, Ezmerelda. Now, if the players haven't met Ezmerelda, and if they haven't met Rudolph van Richten, they've certainly met Rictavio, but they might not know that Rictavio is Rudolph van Richten. These are 2 new characters for the players, connecting them together. So she left a message, and she said she left some information about Strahd here. So let's jump down and find out what that information is. You're going to notice that there's several sketches on the wall with names under each with dark threads connecting them. In the center, there's this large symbol that you're going to recognize is Strahd. It's a Strahd symbol, or you can decide it's a sketch of Strahd. Below Strahd is 4 pictures with 4 strings attached, black thread. 3 of them are women and 1 of them is a man. The 3 women are labeled as brides, Ludmilla, Anastasia, and Valenta. And the man is Escher, and underneath him it says consort. So there's 4 people underneath the image or symbol of Strahd. To the left, there's a black thread tying another sketch of an individual, and it's Rahadin, and underneath Rahadin's name it says Chamberlain on Ravenloft. And to the right of the symbol of Strahd is a sketch of Lady Valkyr from Vallaki, and underneath her name it says unknown. So what you have here is, you know that all of these people are tied to Strahd. There's 3 brides, there's a consort named Escher, there's the Chamberlain of Ravenloft, which is Rahadin, and then some way Lady Valkyr is tied to Strahd as well. So this is the information that Ezmerelda has left for Rudolph in that letter that she's referencing to. Now, there are 2 books that you're going to find here. The first one is Rudolph van Richten's journal, and this journal is certainly worth reading. This is an item you can give to the players. I've also made all my books available in PDF form for free on the Patreon. my Patreon page. This book is well worth reading because it gives you the history of Van Richten, the history of Ezmerelda, their relationship, gives you some ideas and thoughts about what's going on in Barovia and Strahd. So it's a good story. It's definitely worth reading for the players to really flesh out what's going on here. The other book is the Monster Hunter's Handbook. Now the players might have purchased this at the bookshop in Vallaki. If not, it is here as well. So that Van Richten's journal is really important. Now, it's most likely the players have met Rictavio, and even if they read Rictavio's journal, realizing he's in disguise, they don't know who he is originally. He doesn't ever reveal that. And now you've got this other character, Van Richten, who's living here, and this Ezmerelda character. And the characters probably, your players haven't probably connected Van Richten to Rictavio yet. Now, there is pseudo armor we already covered. The last thing we have up here is the head in the box. And this is pretty important. And I put this in here, the text in here, because it really ties some things together. So it's a severed head. The players are going to smell this box with like lavender oil. They're going to open up. There's a severed head in there. And it's a human head of a Vistani named Jan. Now, if the players can speak with the dead spell, they can cast it and speak with this head, learn a little bit about its history. If not, remember, Busty downstairs, you can, if they have Busty with them, they brought him up here, Busty can speak with the head. Or they can take the severed head down to Busty and let Busty talk to him. So what does the head say? Well, he says his name was Jan and he met Rictavio and learned of his true identity of being Rudolf Van Richten. Strahd has requested the Vistani to keep a lookout for Rudolf Van Richten, who seems to have disappeared. This information would be very valuable to Strahd. Rudolf caught Jan before he could share the secret and expose that Rictavio and Rudolf are one and the same. And so Rudolf Van Richten killed Jan. Rudolf had kept the head in order to use Speak with Dead spell to learn about the Vistani and any other secrets that could aid him in his mission to destroy Strahd. However, Jan does not know much. Rudolf has decided to keep the head anyway, just in case he has any more questions. Now, this head is important because this is now finally confirms that Rictavio and Rudolf Van Richten are one and the same. You're also going to learn that Strahd knows who Rudolf Van Richten is and knows that Rudolf Van Richten is after him. And therefore, you know, we now have a better idea why he has become Rictavio, kind of gone and disappeared off the radar by disguising himself as this entertainer, Rictavio. So the severed head does do some connections and some important connections here. So you can see up here on the top floor, you're learning a lot. There's some books up here, very important. There's the note. There's the map about the werewolves. There's the sketches. You're learning about the three brides, the consorts. So there's some new names. There's tons of clues. A lot of information is starting to get fleshed out. You're going to realize again on the third floor why Barovia is trapped. The wizard confirmed it through the stars. You're going to learn about the name of the wizard Khazan. You're going to learn a lot about the Amber Temple from here. And you've got to have some really cool items to find in here. Now, the last thing that happens, we'll go back here, is as you're leaving the tower, you've gone through the tower, you've learned, you've picked up some clues. There has not been any combat encounters unless you try to engage with the golems. You've got some great items. As you leave the tower, you see a horse running towards you very quickly down the causeway. And as it approaches you, there's a woman on it, and she falls off the horse, and she falls unconscious. And this is the return of Ezmerelda. Now, if the players probably have not, unless in your campaign you've already induced her, she is badly injured. She's been stabbed. She's pretty beaten up and torn up. She has 1 hit point left. She's fallen off her horse on the ground. Now, if the players decide to heal her and nurse her back to health, she's going to be obligated to share with you this. And this is very important. It's going to tie a lot of things together. She's going to say, I have learned that Strahd is in search of the lost soul he once loved. This is reference to Tatiana. Her soul has been trapped in Barovia and reborn into a woman in the village of Barovia. I went to the village of Barovia to find her and protect her from the Dark Lord Strahd. I learned who she was and went to her home to rescue her, but Strahd's minions were there, zombies, wolves, and other creatures in the night. They had surrounded the house. I fought them off, but the more I killed, the more came. Soon I was surrounded. My only option was to retreat and find help. I made it to Vallaki, but was betrayed. Someone in Vallaki is working with Vistani. I was captured and taken to the Vistani camp, southwest of Vallaki. I killed my assailant, but not after he managed to stab me. I stole a horse and rode back here as fast as I could. I had nowhere else to go. So she's revealed a lot. So she's gone to the village of Barovia. She knows that Tatiana's soul's reborn into somebody. She went to the house. The house was surrounded by wolves and other creatures. That validates if you were in the village of Barovia and at the Burgermeister's mansion and you went through the wolf attack, how it was surrounded by the wolves. On the outside, she was out there fighting those wolves, right? But she was being attacked as well, and so she retreated. So this ties that whole encounter thread from the village of Barovia to Ezmerelda, right? It also ties in the fact that you know two players, you may know by this point, two players in Vallaki are traders with Vistani. We know that Henrik, from the murder in the stockyard, Henrik got the bodies from the Vistani, the vampire spawn from the Vistani. You're also going to know that Conic Halflinger was building Vistani wagons, and he's dealing with the Vistani. So one of those two guys probably turned her over to the Vistani where she was captured. So it ties those things together with what's going on in Vallaki with some spies for the Vistani and also Irina. Now, if the players ask her who she was trying to rescue, she's going to share the name Irina. And if Irina is with the party, she'll be very happy, and she's going to tell the party, you must get Irina to Kresk as far away as Ravenloft as possible to safety until we can do something about Strahd. Now, she'll offer to join the party later, but must see to her wagon in the tower. She's searching for a friend, for her friend, Rudolf van Richten. Now, this is important. Ezmerelda does not know that Rictavio is Rudolf van Richten. She does not know. She did not speak with the head of Jan up there, right? She saw the head in there, doesn't have speak with the dead, and has no idea. So if the players have made that connection, they're saying, oh, if you're looking for Rictavio, Rudolf Rictavio, he's Rudolf van Richten, he is Rictavio. So if the players share that with her, she's going to pack her shit up. She's going to head to Vallaki and try to find Rictavio at this point. She has learned, she's been out there scouting, and she's learned that about the three Strahd brides. She's learned about Escher, the consort. She's learned that there's some connection to Lady Valkyr. She knows about Rahadin being the Chamberlain of Ravenloft. So she's trying to get this information and bringing it back to Rudolf van Richten. If the tower is destroyed or her wagon is destroyed, obviously she's going to be furious and upset. But if she does learn that Rictavio is in Vallaki, she's just going to go there. Otherwise, she will head to Kresk. So that's the return of Ezmerelda. Now, I did enhance Ezmerelda's stat block considerably. She's unique. She has 82 hit points, a lot of dexterity here. She's super rock star in perception with a +6 and survival of a +6 and deception of a +9. She has a short sword, silvered, +1 rapier, +1 hand axe. She can do a curse, and she has evil eye. And so those are both in her stat blocks. She also has inspire. So if well within sight of Strahd, Ezmerelda can grant inspiration as an action to one player character she can see. So she has a lot of cool stuff. She's also a 7th level spellcaster, right? So I've got her spells in there. She's a pretty huge rock star. She's a CR 8, armor class 17. So she's definitely an ally that the players may want with her at Ravenloft. I would leave her open-ended so that when you do your final conflict, even know that she might not be your destined ally, I might have her show up anyway, and she could have maybe some epic fight there or offer some relief to the players. So that's her stat block in here. There's a picture of her. In fact, I think I even put a picture of Ezmerelda's Return in here too. Yeah, there's Ezmerelda's Return. There she is. So she's kind of a tough hombre. So what happens if the Wizard Tower collapses? We have the final map here is a map of the Wizard Tower collapse. If you failed the puzzle, the Wizard's Tower has fully collapsed. And I don't see the wizard's tower location as being a combat encounter. However, if the tower collapses and everything's destroyed in it, I threw this combat encounter in the end, and this is an elaboration and an extension of the Werewolf Attack. So what happens is the tower collapses. The players are probably kind of injured at this point, and the wolves have surrounded the players on the island. We have 10 wolves surrounding players, and on the peninsula we have two werewolves and a person in human form, Carol, and he's going to say to the party, "You have ventured into my territory. It is time that you leave. You have no reason to be here. Leave your treasures and your loot you have found, and you may go unharmed." Now, if the players decide to drop their loot, they might be injured and take off. He'll let them go unharmed. If they don't, if they refuse, then he's going to say, kill them all, and rip them from limb, and their limbs from their body. And these wolves, these 10 wolves, will ascend upon your players, along with these 2 werewolves. Now, during Carol's turn, he is going to transform into his werewolf form, and he is going to begin howling at the moon. That's what he's going to do during his first turn. Now, I would have all your players roll an animal handling check, DC 15. If they're successful, they're going to realize what that howl is, and that is to call brothers in arms. That means more werewolves or wolves are on their way. You don't know when, but they're going to be coming in, I would say at the beginning, at the start of round 4, you're going to have 4 more of these werewolves show up. Now, you may want to run a balance encounter. I'm not one to run balance encounters. That's just me. If you want to run it balanced, you might want to lower the stat blocks or not have as many wolves or werewolves, depending on your party size, party level. I don't like to run balance encounters. My interpretation is the players need to do their own risk assessment. Retreat is an option. Negotiation is an option. Maybe if you just drop their loot, get out of here, survive the day, and you know, figure out they've got, you know, they know about werewolves now. Maybe there's that werewolf dinner somewhere that this werewolf's got their loot, and then go back and retreat it as a later date. So I did throw that werewolf encounter attack in here if the whole place is destroyed. Now, I hope you liked the Wizard Tower. One last tip here. I would never mention Van Richten's Tower. I would just call it the Wizard's Tower, the old tower on the lake. Let the players figure out the clues and information. I do hope you enjoyed this. Please hit the like button, give me a thumbs up, click subscribe so you can be alerted the next time I put in these videos. Again, if you are interested, become a Patreon member. There's a Patreon link down below, patreon.com/ParmKing. Until next time, this is Parm King, and may all your rolls be critically successful.